I never thought I'd find myself in this situation. My name is Jim, and I've been married to Linda for 28 years. We have 2 grown kids, a cozy house in the suburbs, and, on the surface, a picture-perfect life. But over the last couple of years, something shifted between us. The laughter we used to share had faded into small talk, and the long evenings we spent together had turned into quiet dinners and separate TV shows. It wasn't anyone's fault, really. Life just happened. I work as a sales manager for a small logistics company. My days are filled with phone calls and spreadsheets, endless cups of bad office coffee, and the same jokes in the break room. Linda is a dental hygienist. She's always been caring and gentle, but lately, I'd started to feel like she was more of a roommate than a wife. It was a Wednesday in early spring when I first met Claire. She was a new client at work, part of a startup that was shipping specialty foods. I remember how she walked into the office, confident and smiling, her bright red lipstick a stark contrast to the dull beige walls. She introduced herself with a firm handshake, and I noticed the sparkle in her green eyes. We hit it off right away. Our first meeting was all business, discussing shipping schedules, delivery guarantees, and pricing models. But there was an undercurrent I couldn't ignore. Something electric in the way she leaned forward when she spoke, the way her laughter filled the room. After she left, I found myself thinking about her more than I should have. A few weeks later, Claire invited me out for lunch to discuss some new ideas she had for our partnership. It was just a friendly meal, or so I told myself. We met at a little Italian place downtown, the kind of cozy spot with checkered tablecloths and flickering candles. She ordered a glass of red wine, and though I normally wouldn't drink during work hours, I joined her. We talked about business, sure, but also about our lives, her recent divorce, how she was starting over. I told her about my kids, about the trips Linda and I used to take when we were younger. Claire listened intently, her eyes never leaving mine. I hadn't felt that seen in years. After that lunch, we started emailing more often, little messages that had nothing to do with shipping. She'd send me a funny story from her day, or a photo of a beautiful sunset she'd seen on her morning run. I'd write back, telling her about the office drama, or sharing a memory from years ago. It felt harmless at first, like 2 old friends reconnecting, even though we were anything but. I started to look forward to her messages the way I used to look forward to Linda's notes in my lunch bag. Back when we were first married, the spark I thought was gone from my life, it was back, but it wasn't with my wife. One Friday afternoon, Claire asked if I'd meet her for a drink after work. I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. We went to a quiet bar near her office. She looked incredible, a simple black dress, her hair falling over her shoulders in soft waves. I told myself it was just a drink, just 2 colleagues unwinding after a long week. But that drink turned into 2, then 3. We laughed about the clumsy intern in her office, about the ridiculous demands of her biggest client. Somewhere along the way, the conversation turned personal. She told me how lonely she felt, how her friends didn't understand her anymore, and before I knew it, I was telling her how stuck I felt, how Linda and I barely talked anymore. She reached across the table, her hand brushing mine. "You deserve to be happy, Jim," she said softly, and in that moment, I wanted to believe her. Nothing happened that night, not really. We said goodbye with a hug that lasted a little too long, her perfume lingering on my shirt. I drove home feeling more alive than I had in years, but also guilty as hell. Over the next few weeks, our lunches turned into dinners, and our emails became texts that buzzed on my phone late at night. Claire never pressured me, but I could feel the tension building between us, the unspoken pull that grew stronger every time we met. One evening, Linda was working late, and Claire suggested we grab dinner again. We chose a quiet spot on the edge of town. The food was forgettable, but the conversation wasn't. She asked about my dreams, what I wanted from life, questions I hadn't asked myself in a long time. After dinner, we walked to the river, the air cool and sweet. We stood there for a while, listening to the water and the distant hum of traffic. Claire turned to me, her eyes searching mine. "You don't have to keep living a life that doesn't make you happy," she whispered. I didn't answer, but I didn't pull away when she leaned in and kissed me, either. It was a soft, tentative kiss, but it set my heart racing like a teenager's. We stood there, wrapped in that stolen moment, the world around us fading into the background. When I finally pulled away, I felt like I'd crossed a line I couldn't uncross. But even as the guilt settled in my chest, I couldn't deny the thrill. I'd been sleepwalking through my life for so long, and Claire had woken me up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the kiss in my mind, the way her lips felt against mine, The way her fingers had traced my jaw, I wondered what it meant, what I was willing to risk for something that felt so alive. The next morning, Linda noticed I was distant. "Is everything okay?" she asked over breakfast. I nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. I hated lying to her, but I didn't know how to stop. Claire and I didn't talk about the kiss right away. We went back to our usual banter, pretending nothing had changed, but it had. Every time I saw her, the air felt charged. I knew I was playing with fire, but I couldn't bring myself to walk away. One rainy afternoon, she called me and said she needed to see me, just for a few minutes, she said. We met in the parking lot behind her office. She climbed into my car, her hair damp from the rain. She didn't say anything at first, just looked at me with those green eyes that had become my undoing. "I can't stop thinking about you," she said finally. Her voice was low, shaky. "I know this is wrong, but I can't help how I feel." I reached for her hand, my own heart pounding. "I feel the same way," I said. And in that confession, something shifted. The pretense was gone. We both knew what we wanted, even if we didn't know where it would lead. We sat there in the rain, the windows fogging up around us, and I felt a strange mix of excitement and dread. I knew I was standing on the edge of something that could change my life forever. When I went home that night, Linda was waiting for me. She asked where I'd been, and I told her I'd stayed late at work. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. Not yet. I spent that night staring at the ceiling, torn between the comfort of the life I'd built and the thrill of something new and forbidden. I didn't know what the future would hold, but I knew one thing: I couldn't go back to the